it's Mrs. Glenn. Welcome to the 4.6 Solving Linear Systems by Substitution. In this video, you will understand there's another way to solve systems, and that is called the substitution method. So let's get started. So what is the substitution method? It's solving one of the equations, you choose which one. For one of the variables, you choose which one, and then plug that back into the other equation, which is called substituting, for the chosen variable and solve for the other. So I know that sounds a little complicated, but all you do is you solve for one variable, you take that answer, plug it into where that variable is in the other equation, solve for that variable, then you take that answer and plug it back into the original, and you have the answer for both. So step one is to solve for one of the variables, either x or y. Step two is to substitute this expression into the other equation and solve for that variable. Step three, substitute your answer into the revised equation from step one and solve for that other variable. So I'm going to show you what that looks like. So number one already has y equals 6x. So if you actually take 6x and instead of writing y, you just write 6x next to it, then you can solve for x because you've eliminated the y variable because you already have what it equals up here. So then we're just going to distribute the 3 and get 18x. And then bring down your 2x. So then we have 2x plus 18x is 20x. And then if you divide by 20, you're left with x equals -1. So now that we have x equals -1, you plug this right back into where you had x. So now you have y equals 6 times -1, which just is -6. So your answer is right here. -1 is x, and -6 is y, and that is your solution. So instead of graphing, you can do it algebraically by using the substitution method. All right, so for the next one, I'm going to have to delete all of this. Same thing, except for number 2 does not have equal y equals, so we have to get rid of the, actually we have y equals, I'm sorry. So we can take x plus 9 and plug it into wherever y is here. So we have 3x plus 8 times x plus 9. Again, we're just taking what y equals from the first equation and putting it into where y is in the second equation by substituting it in. So then we do 8 times x, which is 8x, 8 times 9, which is 72. Bring down everything else that we haven't done anything with yet. So then we combine like terms, 3x and 8x gives 11x, 72 we haven't done anything with, and then we are going to subtract 72 on both sides. So you get 11x equals, and then -5 minus 72 more would be -77. Then we divide by 11, and you get x equals -7. So now we're going to take that, plug it right back in where x is in the first one. So we have y equals -7 plus 9. -7 plus 9 is 2. So then our ordered pair is -7 first, comma, 2 for the y. And that would be our solution. So it's a lot quicker than graphing. All right, second one, or number 3. Again, need to erase. All right, so number 3 is x equals. So instead of y equals, now we have x equals. We can still do this without having to do anything with the first equation. So instead of writing x, I'm going to write 4y plus 7 minus 6y equals 12. So you'll notice when you substitute this first equation right here into wherever x is, it gets rid of the x. So now we just have y, so we can just solve for y. It makes it a lot easier so that you eliminate one of the variables. So 2 times 4 is 8y, 2 times 7 is 14. Then you bring down your -6y and your 12. So then we can combine like terms. 8 minus 6y is 2y. And then we're going to subtract 14. And you're left with 2y equals -2, because 12 minus 14 gives us -2. Divide by 2, and you get y equals -1. Take this back up into here, plug it into -1 where y is. So we have x equals 4 times -1 plus 7, which is -4 plus 7. So -4 plus 7 is a +3. So then we write down 3 first because that's what x is. And then y comes second, which is -1. And that's your solution. And the next one. All right, so we don't have y equals or x equals on either one of these. So what I would suggest is taking the easiest one. So like the definition was in the beginning, you can choose which one you want to solve for, either x and y. So I would choose this one because this one has a number attached to the y and a number attached to the x, which makes it more difficult to just solve for one of them. But this one has a y by itself, so we would just subtract 2x on both sides, and that automatically gives us y equals, so we don't have to go any further. And I wrote -2x first so that it's in slope-intercept form. So now we have y equals. We're going to substitute this back up where y is in the other equation. So 2x minus 3 times -2x plus 9. And I just got that from when we solved for y, equals -11. So we distribute that -3 in, and you get +6x. -3 times 9 is a -27. And bring down our 2x and our -11. And 2x plus 6x is 8x minus 27 equals -11. Add 27. Whoa. I'm going to rewrite that. This was -27. Add 27. And you're left with 8x equals, so a -11 plus 27 would be a +16. Divide by 8. And you get 2. So take your x equals 2. I would plug it back into this one because it's easier. So 2 times 2 plus y equals 9. Gives us 4 plus y equals 9. Subtract 4. And you get y equals 5. So your solution is x first, then y, so 2, 5. Number 5. Got a lot of erasing to do on this one. All right, number 5. This one is the easier one because it has y by itself already. Just subtract 2x on both sides. So we're going to take this y, substitute it back into the second one. So we have, and I want to make sure you guys realize also that when you go to substitute it back in, don't substitute it back into your original one because this is the original one, just made it into a different form by revising it to make sure it's y equals. So you don't want to substitute it back into the same one. You have to substitute it back into the other one. So we have 5x plus 3. Instead of y, we're writing -2x minus 2 equals -8. Distribute the 3 into these two. Turns into -6x and a -6 equals -8. 5 minus 6 would be -x minus 6 equals -8. Add 6. Turns into -2. We have to multiply by -1 so that we're getting a positive x and not a negative x. So this turns into a +2. Then we take this. I would plug it back into this one because it's an easier equation. So instead of writing x, we're writing 2. So 2 times 2 plus y equals -2. And this is 4 plus y equals -2. Subtract 4. And you get y equals -6. So your solution is x first, 2, and y second, which is -6. Number 6. wonder if there's an easier way to get rid of all of this. There probably is. There we go. All right, so we have x by itself here, so I'm going to solve for x with the first one. So x plus 5y equals 4. Subtract 5y. So you get x equals negative 5y plus 4. Take that x, substitute it back into the second one. So you get 3 times negative 5y plus 4 plus 15y equals negative 1. Distribute this in. So negative 15y plus 12 plus your 15y over here equals negative 1. So negative 15y plus 15y is nothing. Plus 12 equals negative 1. So 12 can never equal negative 1. So that means there are no solutions. Because you have to be able to have a variable down here. And so if you end up getting rid of the variable, then you immediately stop and say there's no solutions. All right, number 7. All right, so y is already by itself. So we're going to take this 4x, plug it in here. Turns into 5x equals 5. Divide by 5. X equals 1. Let me erase that. Should be a 1, not a negative 1. Take this, plug it back in. So 4 times 1 is just 4. So x is 1, y is 4, and you're done. Number 8, x is by itself already, so I'm going to take negative 4y, plug it into where x is. So 3 times negative 4 is negative 12y, plus 2y equals 20. Negative 12 plus 2 is negative 10y equals 20. Divide by negative 10. And you get y equals negative 2. Substitute this back into this one right here, and you'll get what x equals. So x equals negative 4 times negative 2, because instead of y, we're writing what y equals. Negative 4 times negative 2 is a positive 8. So 8 comma negative 2 will be our solution, because x comes first. I'm going to erase before I turn the page. Ooh, or scribble everything. There we go. Number 9. So y is already by itself, so I'm going to rewrite it, put it in here. So 5x plus 2 times 3x plus 8, because that's what y equals from this one. So then we distribute the 2 into everything, and you get 6x plus 16. Copy down what we haven't used yet. 6x plus 5x is 11x. Bring down our 16 and our 5. Subtract 16. And you get 11x equals negative 11. Divide by 11. X equals negative 1. Take that, plug it back into here. So y equals 3 times negative 1 plus 8 is negative 3 plus 8, which turns into a positive 5. So our solution is negative 1 comma 5. And I think this is the last one. All right, so we've got y by itself here, so I'm going to use this one and do minus 2x on both sides. So I get y equals negative 2x plus 18. Take that, substitute it back into where y is over here. So then 3 times negative 2 is negative 6x. 3 times 18 is 54. So 6x minus 6x is 0. And 54 does equal 54. So these must be the same solution. So these are actually the same equation. If you solved for y on both of them, they're the same line. So they end up being infinitely many solutions. Oops, I can't write. So whenever you get it where it equals each other, that means every single solution, every number will be a solution. So infinitely many solutions will be your answer. So as long as it's true where these equal each other, I don't know why I put a marker at the between that. It is true. So it's equals, because 54 does equal 54, then it is infinitely many solutions. Zoom, 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 zoom. Like a vacuum cleaner. There we go. Number 11. So y equals 4x minus 1 and y equals 2x minus 5. So if we take 4x minus 1 and plug it into 2x minus 5, you know what? Actually, this won't work, because if y equals 4x minus 1 and y equals 2x minus 5, you can actually make them equal each other, because if this equals y and this equals y, they must equal each other. So now we just have to solve for x. So I would subtract 2x from both sides, and you would get 2x minus 1 equals negative 5. Then add 1, 2x equals negative 4, divide by 2, x equals negative 2. Then you're going to plug this back in. I'll just choose that one. So y equals 2 times negative 2 minus 5 is negative 4 minus 5, which is negative 9. So then our solution is negative 2, comma, negative 9. And number 12, x minus 3y equals that. So I would actually add 3y to both sides to get x by itself. Then take your x and plug it into the second equation. So we have 10 times negative 2 plus 3y plus 8y equals negative 20. So that's 10 times negative 2, which is negative 20, 10 times 3y, which is 30y, plus your 8y equals negative 20. So 30 plus 8 is 38y, negative 20, bring it down, add that to this side, and if you add that, you end up getting 0. So if you divide by 38, y would equal 0, and then you plug this back in, and you get x minus 3 times 0 equals negative 2. So then x minus nothing would equal negative 2, so it's just x equals negative 2. So then when x is negative 2, y would be 0. And that would be your solution for this one. Go Seahawks!